Your circumstances don't define your destiny, your choices do. Most people believe you need wealth, connections, or luck to succeed, but the truth is, success starts with a shift in your way of thinking. If you don't take control of your thoughts and actions right now, you'll forever be a spectator in the game of life instead of a player. For me, I started taking control of my own life when I discovered a high-income skill not many immigrants know about here in America, right? So I'll tell you what it is in a second, but first, I need to show you what's the most important thought you need to shift in your mind before you even try anything like that. Otherwise, you'll never be successful at it. So in my home country, I'm originally from Brazil, wealth was something other people had. Here in the US, I realized that it was something I could create, right? And I believe you can as well. So for example, when I first arrived here, I was mesmerized by the abundance, right? Everywhere I looked, I saw opportunity, but somehow I still felt paralyzed by fear, by self-doubt, right? That's when it kind of clicked for me. I realized that the only thing holding me back was my own limiting beliefs, specifically about money. Changing how you think about money is always easier said than done, but the easiest way I found to do that is by associating myself with ambitious and successful individuals in whatever, category or work or in any type of means. Whatever success means to you, right? Once I started to change my way of thinking, I realized that instead of trading time for money, I could trade value for money. And that is where the high income skill I mentioned earlier comes in. I learned something called high ticket sales, and that allowed me to increase my income tenfold in a matter of months, not years, right? But it did require developing very specific skills like effective communication, emotional intelligence, problem solving, negotiation. If you are tired of soul-sucking, draining jobs like I was, right? Take the risk. Bet on yourself. Take courses, read books, find mentors. In high ticket sales, for example, remember your earning potential is directly tied to your skill level. And that's nothing compared to moving to this country, is it? Like moving from your home to try a new life somewhere completely new, completely different. When I started, I could barely string together a smooth conversation. I stumbled over all my words. I don't know. It's almost like I unlearned English. I couldn't handle objections and lost basically every single sale. But I didn't give up. I invested, every spare dollar I had into getting a training, communication, courses, and even pretended to be an actor to maybe work on my accent. I would, look at the mirror and be like, hey, let's pretend here. Listen to the person and rehearse and just try to sound and, be understood. If people can't understand you, it's never gonna work, right? Like you can't communicate, you can't get what you want. I must confess it wasn't easy, but every skill I acquired brought me closer to my end goal. And from there, I started to identify the best opportunities based on my skill level, right? Like the US is great because it's full of opportunities, but many immigrants miss them because they don't know where to look, right? I found my niche in selling high-end coaching and business services, but there are countless high-ticket items, real estate, luxury goods, enterprise software, just to name a few. You can research industries with high-value products or services. You can look for areas where your background as an immigrant might actually be an advantage, right? So here's a tip. Look for industries that are booming but are not saturated, right? So when I started, for example, I noticed that many businesses were struggling to find high-ticket salespeople that could sell products that cost over 10 grand. So I went out there, found someone that knew how to, learn from him, and then position myself as the person they could call if they needed someone to sell something over 10K. Being an immigrant actually gave me an edge at that time because I had to overcome my own limiting belief around money in the past, right? When I started this journey here in America, so I had no trouble helping others do the same, right? I had to do it in my own life, so teaching somebody else becomes super easy. And the next challenge I faced was building a network from scratch. But unlikely many, I guess I didn't rely on traditional network events or cold LinkedIn outreach, right? I was $17,000 in debt and had just moved from Boston to Chicago, leaving everything behind, and I desperately needed a job. Long story short, this desperation forced me to create my own outreach method per se, and that was how I found my first high-ticket sales job exactly a month after moving to Chicago. The lesson I learned here that might suit you well as well is don't wait for opportunities to come to you. Create a unique way to reach out to potential employers or clients or whoever you need to reach out to. Your approach itself can demonstrate your value. right? Now, this is a big one, and let me be clear. The path to making 5 million wasn't smooth. I faced more rejection in my first year of high ticket sales than in my entire life before that. I remembered my first sales call, my hands were like shaking, my accent felt thicker than it ever did before, and guess what? Like, I messed up, right? Like, the client hung up on me and I felt like a failure. But that rejection taught me more than any success I could have. Embracing rejection as a learning opportunity allowed me to analyze what went wrong, adjust, and keep pushing forward. After that failed call, I would always spend, like some time analyzing what went wrong, what went right with every single call, and I started to notice patterns on the calls that actually closed, or in the calls that I didn't make a sale. The truth is, the rejections didn't stop, but they surely became way less frequent, and I learned something valuable from each one of them. Now, making money is one thing, keeping and growing it is another thing completely different. I had to educate myself mostly on tax strategies because I had earned income, right? To this day, I really don't have a lot of money invested in stock market or any of that, and that is something that I want to do in the future. But as you probably know, there is nothing that will get you in trouble faster than not paying Uncle Sam, right? So no matter what you do, make sure you always pay your taxes on time and correctly, right? I don't work for the IRS, right? So I'm just letting you know, I don't want you to get in trouble. The IRS tax code is so complex that I won't even dare to try to talk about it here or explain to you how to do what. I'm not a financial advisor, so just talk to one if you need an accountant. But I think you get the point. The key is to learn at least some basic tax optimization strategy if you earn a lot of income. When I made my first big commission, incredible $750 in 30 minutes, it blew me away. I thought I was like dreaming, right? I was thinking about what fancy car I was going to buy next, where my next luxury vacation or home would be like, right? But then I remember that back then I couldn't even afford rent. When I think back about my journey, I don't know, there was a person that helped me more than anyone else when I decided to come to America. His name is Aurelio. Unfortunately, last year he had a stroke. I've never forgot one of the things that he told me. One day I was feeling super grateful for everything he had done for me and said to him, "Hey Aurelio, I have no idea how I'm ever going to pay or be able to repay you for what you've done for me," right? His reply was, "You pay me by doing for other people what I've done for you." This is the reason I decided to start this channel and help other immigrants, sharing the lessons and the mistakes I learned along the way, because it not only feels great, but when I needed most, someone helped me and I wanted to do that as well, right? In the end, it also opens up many new opportunities and partnership for us all as well, but I don't think any of us forgets the struggles of our early days in America. As we become, successful, we make it a point to, hire other people, hire other immigrants to mentor the young ones, the young entrepreneurs, to share our stories whenever we can. And success, it's not like a zero-sum game, right? Lifting others up will lift you higher too. Now, I want to address some of the unique challenges the majority of us will face as, immigrants at some point. There are always going to be some visa and legal issues. Navigating the US immigration system can be daunting, but I'm sure you already know that. I know many immigrants that learned this lesson the hard way, and it just sucks. In their eagerness to live a better life, they violate the terms of the visa. Sometimes, these mistakes will cost them their American dream. So whenever possible, try to talk to somebody that have been through what you want to do, an attorney and lawyer that actually knows the laws, the immigration laws, to understand the better options that you may have, right? And the restrictions for whatever type of visa you're in or whatever your situation here may be. Knowledge is always going to be power. And yes, legal fees can be expensive, but they're a lot cheaper than the alternative, right? Don't cut corners when it comes to your immigration status. It might cost you later on. The other thing is adjusting to the American business culture. I had to learn the art of small talk, the importance of networking, events, and even how to dress for success in an American context at some occasions, right? Just observe and adapt. Don't be afraid to ask mentors or colleagues about cultural norms if you are unsure about them. I come from a culture where promoting yourself is not very common. In America, I learned that if I don't promote myself, or if you don't promote yourself, no one else will. I felt uncomfortable at first, but it gets easier with time, and it's essential for success in the American business world. The language is one many immigrants take for granted. For me, I knew my English needed to be great for high ticket sales, right? So I practiced and I practiced until I couldn't, everybody would like be tired of me. It's like, hey man, what the heck are you doing? I used to be self-conscious about my accent, for example, but then a mentor taught me a lesson I've never forgot. He said, in sales, it's not about you, it's about them and what they want, referring to the prospects and to the clients that I was talking to, right? From that day on, I saw my accent as an asset, not a liability anymore. Of course, I still worked hard to improve my English, but I no longer try to hide where I came from. In the beginning, we have no credibility as immigrants, right? We are starting with no reputation in a new country. So in high-ticket sales, building credibility is actually important. In my early days, I collected many testimonials, documented my successes, no matter how small it seemed at that time. So I used those things later on to build my reputation. As I grew, I made sure to document every success story, every positive outcome. Your track record is your most valuable asset. Against results, there are no arguments, right? Your journey from broke immigrant to the life of your dreams won't happen overnight. It's taken me years of hard work, countless setbacks, and more sleepless nights that I care to admit. And I'm still going, and I know this is just a start for me at least. But each small win, each new skill mastered, each sale closed, each, victory brought me closer to an American dream I envisioned when I first landed here. Remember, your immigrant experience is not a disadvantage. It's a secret weapon. You have a unique perspective, a hunger for success, and resilience that many born here can't match. Use them to your advantage, right? But here's the thing, you struggle and waste years if you don't know how to choose the right path to achieve financial freedom as an immigrant in America. But the good news is, in this video here, I'll show you the easiest path to financial freedom an immigrant can ever take.